Hey everyone, Melody, welcome to Author Nation. And in today's video, I want to talk about pulling all those pieces together that will help you with the content of your book. So week one, we talked about your purpose and why you're writing this book, how it's going to change your life or your world. And then last week, we talked about your audience and how it's going to change their life and their world. And so now you know that, you can start considering what content you want to put in the book. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. And we're going to talk about four things. We're talking about gathering information, brainstorming, exploring, and researching. And then I'm also going to give you some ideas about ways to think about your material as well, just different ways to think it through, because next week we're going to be talking about planning and outlining. And once you have that done, you are off to the races and writing. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is you just want to go and gather all the information you have, whether it's on napkins from a coffee shop, from a time you had coffee with a friend and had a brilliant idea, or maybe it's on your computer, it's in documents and you're really well organized. Maybe you like to journal, you have a journal that you write in and you have ideas there. Maybe you have emails from clients. So there are all these places where you might have information. You can just pull those all in together. And when you start pulling all this information together into one place, be it, one place, I often do one place online and one place offline, just because I tend to be a journaler and notes and things like that. So I'll have a bunch of notes, but I'll also have things on my computer. So I often have two places, one online and one offline. And then you want to brainstorm. You want to say, okay, let's just brainstorm this. We're just going to throw all the ideas out. I'm not going to think about them. I'm not going to criticize my ideas. I'm not going to organize my ideas. I'm just going to throw it all out. And what I often use for this is flip chart paper. You know, that big flip chart paper. I just get a big marker like this one, and I just start writing anything I can think of, just jotting it all down. Again, don't think it through. Don't go, is this good? Is this not good? Just throw it all down. Don't criticize it. Don't try to organize it. The other thing I do is index cards. I like to write ideas. I'll just have a whole stack of index cards, and I'll just write an idea on different index cards and then toss them aside for organizing later. You can also use online programs like Scrivener. It has index cards. It has a section that you can move index cards around. I think I have a link to it in the description. So that's another way. But whatever however you decide to brainstorm, it's just about getting things out. And once you've gathered all your information, you've kind of done this big brain dump, start exploring the topic, right? You can use mind maps. Let me be over here. You can use mind maps. This isn't a mind map. This is a tree. You can use a tree diagram where you start with a central idea and watch the ideas come out from that central idea. So you can use tree diagrams. You can use flow charts and see which way information flows, what things seem to be connected and what things seem to be apart. And you can use mind maps, which is what I thought I was going to talk about the first time. You can use mind maps. And all of these will help you kind of think things through and find connections between different ideas. And this is going to help you for next week when we actually start organizing and doing a table of contents and planning out the book. So you can use any of these devices. You can use any of these devices to help you kind of explore the topic. And again, you're not judging it. You're not trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong. You're just exploring the topic. You're looking for connections that may surprise you, right? So don't worry if things don't fall together immediately, but you may be surprised at some of the connections. So you've gathered the information, you've kind of pulled it all together, you've done this brain dump, you've been brainstorming, and now you're exploring ideas, you're exploring connections and how things fit together. And then you might notice that there are some holes in your research. And so if there are holes in your research, then you can start doing research. And so there's primary research, which means you call up 5, 10, 20 people who are likely to read your book. And you say, hey, can I take you out to dinner? Can I buy you a coffee? Can we jump on a Zoom call? And can I ask you some questions around this topic and what's important to you, what you want to know, or what you wish you knew at the time, or whatever it is. There's surveys. So maybe after you've talked to 5, 10 people, you can create a survey. And then there are focus groups as well. So these primary research. And then there's secondary research. Secondary research, you can read books, you can do online research, you can read journals, you can go on Amazon and look at what other books there are. You can go on YouTube and figure out what other videos there are. What are people making videos about on this subject matter, and are people watching them? Or you can go and do some scholarly research, and I'm going to share my screen. You can do scholarly research. So you can go to google.com, or you can go to scholar.google. In this case, CA. And I just have grandparents in grief here. And I'm just going to search that topic. And instead of getting, so normally with Google, you'll get just the results. There'll be blogs. You can choose news or images. Here, you're getting journal articles. So a little bit more like research-oriented articles. So that's on scholar.google.ca. I'll put that in the description as well. And also on JSTOR. JSTOR is a search, you search journals, primary sources, and books. Again, higher level of research. So we can just search, again, grandparents' grief, and we can look at what kinds of articles are coming up for that topic. It's a little slow. Here we go, 8,784. And so you can go through all of this and go through and see like what articles will relate to what you do or what you're writing about, and what some won't apply, and that's okay too. So again, you can do primary or secondary research. Secondary research, I suggest you look at YouTube. YouTube is one of the largest search engines in the world now. Look at Amazon.com, look at what books are being written. I would suggest you use Google, just regular Google is fine too, but you can also use scholar.google.com or jstor.org. And so those are places where you can do some research. So again, we're going to gather information. We're going to do a brain dump. We're going to brainstorm things. We're going to explore the topic through mind maps and tree diagrams. And however you want to visualize it or write it out. You might want to do bullet point lists. This is the topic, and then what goes under here. Here's the topic, what goes under here. However you want to do, just play with the material to see what connections come up. Don't make an assumption that you already know exactly how it should all fit together. And then I want to talk a little bit about how you might think about this material that you're gathering, or how you might, when you're doing the flow chart and the tree diagrams and the bullet points and all of that stuff, how you might find, how you might think about it to find connections. And so here's a couple of suggestions. 1, write down the problem or problems. So if your book deals with one big problem, like I can't sleep, that's a big problem. So just write that one big problem and then start listing out all the solutions and seeing if there are connections between the solutions. Do they fit together? Or is there a chronology they likely go into, right? Or sometimes there's actually a bunch of little problems, right? I'm just generally unhappy in life. What do I do? And it's like, well, here are all my suggestions on how to help with that. And so there might be a lot of little solutions to a bigger problem. So brainstorm every problem that your book will solve. And for every problem, think about what the solution is. Because that's really what you're doing in a book, right? Somebody has a problem, they buy your book offers a solution. So is it a big problem with a big solution? Or is it a bunch of little problems a bunch of little problems that with a bunch of little solutions that make up something larger? Benefits and features, it's another thing. So in the last video, in video 2, we talked about audience, and I talked about them being on this side of the abyss, and this is what they know, and this is how they feel, and this is who they are, and this is what they can do, and there's something missing in their life because they want to be on this side, and they don't know how to get there. And so your book bridges that for them. And so what you do is you build underneath the bridge. And so these are the benefits of your book. So what are all the benefits of reading your book? And when you think about benefits, you can attach them to, like, how am I going to get those benefits across? So if one of the benefits is, let's say the big problem is I can't sleep. And so one of the benefits is learning about sleep hygiene. It could be, okay, so it's learning about sleep hygiene. I could give examples, stories, instructions, a summary, a toolbox, a quiz, exercises, journal articles, interviews, case studies. How am I going to take this idea of sleep hygiene without just going, this is how you do it, right? And that's it. You know, that's the step-by-step, and that's great. That's a feature. And then what else can I do? I could tell a story. So start thinking about your benefits and start thinking about how you're going to express those benefits. And I'm just going to read you a list of possible features in a book. There are lots more. This is just a limited list to get your ideas going. So let's see. We have quizzes, a toolbox, summaries, examples, stories, maps, sidebars, so setting information outside of the main text to be highlighted, instructions, exercises, interviews, case studies. So we have our problem, solution, we have our features, we have benefits. And then I'm going to talk next about personal examples. So if you have these problems that have these solutions and these are the benefits, do you have a personal story that you're going to weave in through the book? Or maybe you have clients who have stories and you're going to use different stories for different parts. You can start thinking about that. Is there a big story that I'll weave in, or are there a number of small stories that I can kind of put in wherever they happen to fit? Because personal examples, real stories about real people who have faced similar problems and have learned something, have come up with a solution, have, you know, overcome something. This needs to be a really big part of your book. So you can start thinking about that now. And then finally, statistics. Do you have any facts or figures or quotes, supporting evidence, studies that you have found that kind of back up what you're saying? And that's the last piece, right? So we've looked at problem solution, benefit features, personal examples, facts and figures. And so these are the pieces that will go in, that will make up the book. And you can start playing around with those ideas right now. That was a lot. So I have to say this. What sometimes happens when people go through this process is they enter into what we call analysis paralysis, right? They get stuck in, I don't know enough, I don't have enough information, I need more, I need more, I need more. So next week, next Wednesday, we're doing the outlining and planning of your book. So you have 1 week to do this, and that's it. So you don't get into analysis paralysis, right? You just want one week to pull this together. And if you only get a little bit together, but you get to start writing your book or start planning your book, great. That's fine. And just don't, sometimes I work with authors and they sit in this stage forever and they never get to writing their book. So you don't want to do that. You want to get into this stage, give yourself a deadline, and then move on to the next stage, which will be next Wednesday. We'll be talking about outlining and planning your book. So we can put together that outline from which you will be able to jump off from and start writing furiously. So that's it. I'm Melody Owen. This is Author Nation. I hope you have enjoyed the chat today, and I will look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you have any questions, please drop me a comment. I'm always looking at them. I always respond to them. And I will see you next Wednesday. Have a lovely day.